welcome back to the Time Space Visualizer. It's that time of the week again where it's me and Tom talking in your ears about Doctor Who for about 20 minutes or so.
Yeah, it's a good time. I love it. Yeah.
How are you doing? Good week?
Yeah, good week. Yeah, not bad. Yourself?
Yeah, not bad. Nice quiet week. You know, we're in 2023 now, the 60th anniversary year.
Happy New Year, everyone.
Yeah, we hope you enjoyed the tier list that took absolutely ages to make. And as of recording, there's a video about the trailer breakdown we got on Christmas Day about to drop. So by the time this goes out, you'll see it. So we hope you enjoyed our ideas. We're probably completely wrong, but that's fine. That's part of the fun.
If Neil Patrick Harris isn't the Celestial Toy Maker, I'm going to be flabbergasted.
That's a good word, that flabbergasted. It's a lovely word.
Great word.
Anyway, before we get on to today's main topic, let's head over to Tom for, what did you call it last week?
Comments and questions.
Comments and questions.
We haven't thought of another name for it yet, so why not?
Or a jingle, because we're not that high tech.
Yes. Oh, we could pay someone, surely. Someone.
Let us know in the comments.
Yeah, hit us up. So Odin One Eye, again, absolute legend, apparently. Friend of the channel, yeah. Loving the longer videos. Would you consider doing tier lists for other series, either classic or revival? I
think definitely at some point we'll do some more tier lists.
Yeah, it's just a faff to sort out with the edits and stuff.
Yeah, I think once we've got a bit more settled on what we're doing, then definitely. I think whether they be Doctors or series or just ideas, I know people do them on Companions a lot as well.
Yeah.
Things like that. But, you know, if there's any specific tier list you'd like us to do, then, you know, let us know and we'll definitely have a look at it. We've got a few plans for the next couple of weeks, but after that, you know, why not?
Yeah, I completely agree. The next one is it is long, but it's from Simon L. Thank you for the comment, mate. I really do appreciate it. It was a good read. So he said, for me, I think the writing was bad this era with the gender change of the Doctor. I kind of agree on that.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think that I was ever against a female Doctor. I was always like, you know, it could be good. Me. But I just think that specific era, I think there wasn't really, not that it's something that needs to be focused on, but it doesn't get addressed that much apart from in sort of like passing, like, oh, I used to be a man once, which sort of it comes across a bit weird sometimes to me personally.
He went on to say that there was a fair bit of pushing that women are better than men.
Yeah, because I know he mentioned that comment in that comment. He mentioned that line in Spyfall, which we completely didn't even touch upon. But there's that bit where Stephen Fry mistakes Graham for the Doctor, and instead of just saying, you know, what I think it was even a suggestion of the line, wasn't it?
Yes,
because the Doctor just goes, "Oh, I've had an upgrade," which is like a bit weird. Because imagine if that was the other way around, it would come across a bit strange, you know.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, along with the other political message and forced down your throat with this series. With this era, even, it was another one just forced down your throat, just a reminder. I'm not a man anymore.
Yeah, and it's like I said, I don't mind Doctor Who being political. That's never bothered me at all.
It's always been political.
Yeah, exactly. That's never going to change. It's the execution and the subtlety, and you know whether or not it's subtle, it still has to be within an engaging story. You look at episodes 4 and 5, you know, Aliens of London and World War 3 from the first series. It's not subtle. But it's still a very engaging story and engaging characters around it.
It's enough to kind of sweep it under the rug that you're not really paying attention to that messaging to the same extent, because you're so caught up in everything
That's
going
the point. You've got to be caught up in the story as well. You can't just sit there and be like, if I wanted to sit there and be lectured at, I'd go to a lecture.
Yeah. So they have made politics the forefront of the writing, and I think that has contributed to this being probably one of the worst eras of Doctor Who.
I think it's definitely the weak spot of New Who for sure.
Yeah.
But well, thank you very much for your comment. There was some very good points made in there. Keep them coming in, and that goes for everyone as well. We just, you know, we love engaging with everybody.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. So, today's main topic.
Yes.
We're talking about potential spin-offs that we could see now that Doctor Who's got a bigger budget thanks to the mouse money and the new deal. I think, you know, when Russell T Davies was in charge, we had Doctor Who, we had Sarah Jane Adventures, we had Torchwood, not to mention Doctor Who Confidential, Doctor Who, what was that one on CBBC? Totally Doctor Who.
Yeah.
For a couple of years, there was the anime. We could see all sorts of stuff, and with Doctor Who being so infinite as it is anyway, there's a lot to unpack there. So we've each come with a couple of spin-offs, and we're going to discuss which ones would work. So,
yeah.
Would you like to start?
I couldn't think of a name for it, but you could potentially see one where it is just the friends of the Doctor going off into. I've
But for
stolen one from you,
context,
haven't
we
I?
haven't discussed this with
No,
each other
we have
before
not.
this video, and we've come up with the exact same idea. I can tell you now.
So this is based off that end scene from one of the final scenes in The Power of the Doctor, where you've got Ian, you got Mel, you got Graham, Dan, Yaz in that room having a meeting about their time with the Doctor, and like my thinking behind it is they could maybe not so much Ian in the fact he's old, but have him pop up now and then, because who doesn't love him?
Legend.
Yeah, absolute legend. Have that just come over, have them fight off like aliens that stayed on Earth that are starting to cause trouble.
Yeah.
Almost a bit Torchwood-y, but away from Torchwood at the same time. None of that random inter-species stuff they did with series 1 of Torchwood.
Yeah, I mean, I came up with a very similar. I'll show you the notes. I'll show you the notes. I wrote them on my phone because it was just quicker. But basically, I had the similar idea that it was based around the companions from Power of the Doctor. Not necessarily those specific ones, although I wouldn't have any objections to that. But I just called it Friends of the Doctor, which is a really cheesy title. Basically, it's and the idea I had for it with it being was it like an anthology series.
Yeah.
So it starts off with each of them discussing things, and then one of them goes, well, let me tell you a story about this, and then it cuts to sort of either like a flashback, or it could be them as they are now from like a couple of weeks back dealing with things. Very much almost like the companion chronicles range from Big Finish, sort of told from their point of view, so you're not heavily relying on the Doctor needing to be there, and it's, you know, you could have Joe investigating something on Earth in sort of like the 90s or something. You could have, you know, Polly and Ben, well, obviously not Ben because Michael Craze has passed away, but Polly doing something, you know, as she came back to Earth, or still relatively recently, you could have someone go, well, a couple of weeks ago I was up to this, you know, the possibility are endless. And it's a good, I also put here, it could be a gateway to future, like individual pilot episodes for new series, so you could have like the adventures of Ace or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, so...
I would like to know what Ace and Tegan got up to in that period.
Yeah.
Between their time in the TARDIS and Power of the Doctor.
Yeah, considering we hadn't seen them like interact at all before, like how did they meet, what happened, all that would be very interesting stuff to flesh out there for sure. My first idea is, I say my first idea, I'll be honest, I completely have stolen this from Big Finish, but a War Master series with Derek Jacobi.
That would be class.
Because I don't know if have you heard them?
I've heard some of them, I haven't heard them all.
Right, they're all brilliant. There's obviously with them you get a couple of duds here and there, but on the whole, I think I'm about, have I listened to the first four? But they're all brilliant. Derek Jacobi is my ideal kind of master. He and Roger Delgado are my two favourites. I can't decide between them because I prefer the master when he's a bit more suave, a bit more calculating, a bit more charming than, you know, the whole insane, wacky thing was fun for a bit, but I just feel like that's become a trope now, and we take it back to the classic series a bit. Have Derek Jacobi. And what I like about it, because it's the War Master, so it's set during the time of the Time War, but it's not directly involved with it. So it gives you a chance to explore certain ideas and fallout from the Time War while still keeping it a bit vague.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because it's supposed to be this big, like, you know, unthinkable thing. So let it be just that. Have them, you know, there's stories where the Master's dealing with, you know, there's a colony ship that's been, a colony planet that's been, you know, their so resources have been drained because of the Time War and things.
Yeah.
You know, and how he inserts himself into that. You know, he picks up a companion, essentially, and he wants to be like, I want to go save a planet, so the Master lets him attempt to save a planet. I'm not going to spoil it because it's such a good reveal at the end of that episode. It's the end of the third episode of the first series. Absolutely brilliant. One of the best stories, one of the darkest stories I've heard in the whole Doctor Who universe, but it's absolutely fantastic. And Derek Jacobi, like I said, is just absolutely phenomenal as the Master. It's an absolute shame that we didn't get more of him on TV. So this would be a perfect thing. Anyway, one of yours.
One of mine goes back to before the 10th Planet. Ooh. Classic Who. It was around the idea of, so you get the Mondasian Cybermen coming in that first one, and it is very much how the Cybermen even began in the first place, what led up to that, have like a 6-part series, just a 6-part series leading up to that. So it gives a bit more backstory to it. You get to see a bit more, you get to see Mondas itself, and how that works.
Yeah, because that's a good idea. Because that's like there's a Big Finish story called Spare Parts, which is basically like the genesis of the Daleks, but for the Cybermen. But that's very much sort of like the last couple of leading up to the initial creation. But there's so much more to explore of why they start to do it in the first. Because by the point the Doctor and Nyssa get involved in this story, there's already sort of like mostly Cybermen about anyway. But like, what would lead them to that point? You
Yeah,
know?
like what
Yeah.
happened that they had to go to that point and change themselves down to their emotional level, where like what caused that? It'd probably get quite dark. It'd be traumatic as hell as to why they had to go and do that, and then what went wrong in the sense that they then wanted to go and convert the rest of the world, the rest of the universe.
Yeah.
But then a similar story could be done with the Daleks as well. Like what? So you know the backstory. You know they were in a war and there was a radiation bomb, so they put themselves into their little tricycles, and
Just boiled down the universe's most terrifying creatures into tricycles.
Yes, I have.
You will now all sleep easy for the rest of your lives.
Tricycles with an eye stalk. But like what happened during that war, and the fallout of how they were coping with the radiation and stuff. Again, building up to that Davros invention of the Daleks, although that's a completely separate Genesis story.
Yeah. It's very similar to. I'm going to bang on about Big Finish a lot, I feel like, today.
Yeah,
but they did a mini series called I, Davros, and that chronicled sort of like how Davros went from,
being
curious child to power mad dictator. That's very good. But that was only like 4 parts, and they take through like there's quite big gaps in between each episode. So a more gradual thing would definitely be more interesting. Get a chance to flesh that out and explore the backstory. Yeah, no, I like that. I like that plan.
Yeah.
And then my it's going to be my second one now because you nicked my. But yeah, this is very simple. Paul McGann.
Yeah.
8th Doctor series.
Yeah. No. I agree. What
Nuff.
happened?
I even put in my notes here. I put 8th Doctor. Nuff said.
What happened between the TV film and the Night of the Doctor?
Yeah,
where they ruined the surprise.
You could do a miniseries, and it doesn't even have to be anything big and grand. Just put Paul McGann in his costume, give him a sonic screwdriver and a TARDIS and a companion, and just do like a sort of secondary series.
Yeah.
You could even have it like you could have, for example, one episode be like a prequel to something that happens in like Shooty's series, but still make them accessible for everyone.
Yeah.
So it's more of that payoff if you watch both series, but if you don't, then it's not going to matter.
Yeah, and with Disney with Disney as well, they don't even need to worry too much about the money because they signed that deal now.
Well, exactly.
So it's just going to be a case of you're going to have amazing effects. Your budget's borderline limitless.
Yeah.
So you can go out and branch out really far with where you want to go and shoot stuff.
And I think Paul McGann is such a strong Doctor on the audio. I wish we just had more of him to watch.
Yeah.
I love having him in my ear.
Yeah.
That's going to sound really weird. That's a poor choice of words.
Yeah. Well, we're leaving it there.
Yeah. Well, I love having Paul McGann in my ear. But there's just something about having more of him to watch on telly and have him, with companions. It could even, if you want to go down the route of just making the 8th Doctor stuff from Big Finish on telly, get Nicola Walker and Hattie Morrow, do it earlier and have India Fisher as Charlie, or even if you can get Sheridan Smith, she's always busy, isn't she?
Yeah.
Do Lucy Miller stuff or Dark Eye stuff, whatever. There's literally endless ones, or just do something completely different. One thing I would say was probably keep him away from the Time War. I feel like because they've done that enough now with the audios, and I think it would be nicer to just have him earlier in the timeline before he's that sort of war-torn geezer.
You could have it so he's getting called to go help the Time Lords, and he's just doing everything he can to stay away until inevitably he ends up on Khan.
Yeah, well, you could have confrontations, and it sort of be the very initial sort of moments that lead up to, because they don't just happen wars, do they? It's a lot of different things. But yeah, you could have him, meet the Daleks or whatever at this small planet that's quite key to the Time Lords or whatever, or you could have the Daleks attacking something else which gets them involved with time, which creates more conflict. The possibilities are endless, and it's Paul McGann.
Yeah,
like I said, enough said.
I mean, on a spin-off from that potentially, even though John Hurt is dead, you might need to recast a War Doctor, but
yeah,
you could have a Time War specific series where you find out all these planets that are being caught up into it. You see the planets falling, planets being saved, that sort of standard stuff, and how the people of the worlds are starting to change their views on this pompous race of Time Lords.
Yeah. Speaking of War Doctors, have you heard Jonathan Carley doing the War Doctor on Big Finish now? My God, that is the most pitch perfect impression of any Doctor I've ever seen.
Yeah. No,
it's scary.
It's insane.
I've heard very good impressions. I know that there's Chris Thompson does a brilliant Second Doctor and 12th Doctor, and there's lots of different impressions. But my God, Jonathan Carley's War Doctor is scarily good. Scarily good. But yeah, I think there's a lot to do with the Time War. I think if you're going to do Time War, do the stuff leading up to it and do like sort of bits here and there. Don't do like a whole.
Yeah,
I think if you did like a whole, because like we saw in Day of the Doctor, it was the final confrontation is basically just it is just a big war. They're just shooting each other, which is fine.
But there was loads
when
of
there's
little
loads
bits.
of build up and
Yeah.
stuff. You know, when David Tennant's on like you flew into the jaws of the nightmare child and whatnot.
Yeah, but like,
You know?
you could have it so the Doctors, at the end of a battle, the Time Lords or the Daleks have won, and then you just see a couple of survivors, and you get flashbacks to what they went through and how they're getting through. It doesn't even have to be Doctor specific. It could be like certain individuals on each planet and how they're coping with whichever side won the battle for that planet that day.
Yeah.
And like what happened in the run up to it, like them having like a life farming, living peacefully, and then all of a sudden everything hits the fan.
Yeah, that's a very good point. So anyway, on to the next part of this video, which is a spin-off idea that we both had, but also have stolen from Marvel. Really.
Yeah.
So-
No, they've done it a lot in loads of different franchises.
Yeah.
But
If you've seen Marvel, if you're a fan of Marvel, you've probably seen the series What If, and the title sort of speaks to itself. What if this was this? What if that was that?
Yeah.
Doctor Who's done a similar thing on audio with Big Finish back in the early 2000s. They did things like What If the Valiard won? What if the Doctor was a woman? Very ahead of its time. What if the Doctor wasn't the hero that we know? What if he'd never left Gallifrey? That kind of thing.
yeah.
So we had a few ideas of our own and thought we'd share them here as potential pitches.
Yes.
So what is your first pitch?
So my first one is what if the Daleks won the Time War? Now, effectively they did because they keep popping up in New Who all the time. They're a fan favourite villain. They'll go into.
yeah.
I did like it early on how only a select few Daleks survived, and that felt okay. And then Journey's End just brought an entire new Dalek Empire back. But you know, less on that now.
We're never going to not see the Daleks, so let's be
No,
honest.
we're not.
They're always going to be around.
So in this one, the Doctor didn't survive. The Doctor died in the Time War, perished. So the idea behind this is you're coping with Dalek rule around the universe. They're trying to exterminate everything. You've got to live by their rules, or you're gone. It'd probably keep some humans as slaves.
Well, that's
or
the thing,
some
is if you're going to do a Dalek series, you've got to ground it in relatable characters like sort of like human freedom fighters and things like that.
Yeah.
Or
You'd
not
have
even
to have
necessarily human.
resistance groups.
Yeah.
So you couldn't just have like a series on just Daleks ruling. You'd need.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but it would work.
Yeah.
I reckon it would work well.
Yeah, it's a pretty solid idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, my first one is a bit more specific. It's not really sort of a long-term thing. You'll only really do like maybe 1 or 2 episodes on it. But the idea behind it is, what if the 5th Doctor didn't save Perry in the caves of Androzani instead of the other way around? You know, what if? Because in that story, him and Perry get spectrotoxemia, and the Doctor has enough of the cure for both of them, but spills half of it because he's clumsy. Gives the rest, Perry dies and regenerates. But what if it was the other way around? What if he was like, we've only really known her for a couple of weeks, not including McFinish. So just next back the cure, Perry dies, and we've got a Doctor then that would probably be pushed to quite new places, and especially with the 5th Doctor, who's the most, especially at the classic series Doctors, the most human Doctor you've got at that point.
Yeah.
One of the nicer ones. Alright, he's a bit snappy at times, but who
Yeah,
isn't?
but they all are.
Yeah. So what would that do for this Doctor? Where would it push him? Would he still carry on being himself? Would he be in for himself more? Would it be a case of he doesn't even be the Doctor anymore, he just goes and does his own thing? Or is he out to get the best possible results for him? What means would he do this by if he becomes more of a the ends justify the means kind of Doctor? All sorts of things that I think it would really push this Doctor into new and exciting territory, to be fair.
Yeah, no, it'd be good to see that. I mean, you get a bit of a darker Doctor with Colin Baker right at the start.
Yeah.
His disdain for Perry.
Yeah, but this is why my thought process behind it is you can push that sort of level of darkness, but onto Davison's Doctor.
Yeah,
Davison's incarnation.
It would have given him a twist.
Yeah.
And I love the bubbly Davidson Doctor. I kind of feel some of the classics needs a bit more of a darker storyline to an extent. Because it's all happily bubbly, Doctor saves the day all the time, but Doctor can't save the day every time. And no, he does, but there's points where throughout the story where he doesn't at first and then goes back and saves it. But it's always nice to have that thing of, oh, he can't do it all the time. You get it a lot, like someone ends up dying each time, with Davros in Journey's End saying how many people have died in your name. Stuff like that. So it'd be, I reckon it would be quite good. But yeah. So my second one is, what if the Cybermen never started out? So for those who don't know the classic Who, they appeared in 10th Planet. The Cybermen were part of from a planet called Mondas, which is Earth's twin. So everything's the same, but this planet drifted far away from the sun. The people started dying, the organics part failed, so they had to replace them with cybernetics. What if the brains behind the operation decided, you know what, we're going to use this to get off world. We're going to use this knowledge to save ourselves and still be us. But could it be that they only have to live off a specific cure that doesn't cure them but keeps them ticking along? Where would they go to live? Would inhabitants of the planet have to be shifted off to allow and make room for them?
Yeah.
Would they be able to find
approaches, to be fair?
Would they find a place that's completely uninhabited and start afresh? It's limitless idea, really.
Yeah, I mean, you could have it almost like a Battlestar Galactica idea where they go out and try and find somewhere else, or they go down a Sisterhood of Khan route where, you know, they're going to find some elixir that's going to keep them alive no matter the cost, or that they manage to keep themselves going, but the organic parts are still dying, so they become like sort of husks and things.
Yeah.
You could take it to a few different genres and a few different ideas.
You could have them change their physical appearance, but keep the emotions and stuff, and see what that does for everything as well, because obviously the emotions were removed as part of it. But that's the last of my ideas, to be honest.
My last one is simply, what if the Master was the timeless child?
That'd be good.
I'd bring the timeless child in just to see the reaction of him, because
damn it, I'm moved.
My feelings for the timeless child are, it's number one, bullshit. I believe that.
Yeah, you're not wrong. It is.
Number two is the fact that it goes against, you know, it links it to number one, but it goes against things that we've already established. It underwrites things like Time with the Doctor, where we've had this really cool idea for the new generations, was like, does it really matter though? Because it's timeless children. And it most importantly takes away from the fact that, and a few other people have mentioned this before, this isn't an original point, but it takes away from the fact that the Doctor is no longer a character who does good of their own accord. You know, it's like it's sort of almost like they're more special by right rather than by action.
Yeah.
Because at the time, you know, before the Timeless Children, they were just another member of their own race. You know, there was no mad sort of special powers that they had other than the, you know, regeneration, which was the same for any Time Lord. But it was, they went and did good, or they rebelled from their own society and did their own thing for their own purposes, you know, not for their own purposes, but like they wanted to save people.
They wanted to see the world.
Yeah, so by doing that, the Doctor as a Timeless Child, it sort of lessens that impact, which takes away from the whole Doctor's character as a whole. But I think for the Master it would work because we've seen the Master die again and again and again and again, right?
Yeah. Oh,
so there we go. There's plot one. He doesn't always die because he's a timeless child, and eventually when we all think he's dead, he's back as someone else, like, you know.
And it reinforces the fact that he sees himself as a god above people.
Yeah.
And the timeless child story arc itself would be like,
fits like a jigsaw puzzle.
It fits like a glove.
Yeah. You know,
like a glove. And sorry. And it is very fitting for the Master, because you had Missy, which is female Master, for those who haven't clocked on. She was starting to work with the Doctor, becoming more empathetic, becoming a better person. And then Sasha's Master comes in and is like, no. But then that could be like where he's working out as a timeless child and he's just re-solidifying, like, why am I trying to do all that good stuff when I'm a literal god? Yeah,
it takes that whole thing, that it makes it that more impactful as well, because you get that redemption thing with Missy. Missy regenerates into Sacha Dhawan. Sacha Dhawan finds out, oh my god, it's me, I'm the timeless child. Switch flips back, he goes more berserk than he's ever been, which fits in what we've seen already.
Yeah.
Really, and that sort of justifies the whole, like, I'm crazy thing, which I'm fed up with the Master now anyway.
I do love it though, it's good. It's good, but they've relied on it way too much. I want a methodical,
calm, suave, Bond villain-like Master, you know?
Yeah, like, you know he's a nutcase, but he's so calm. He almost entices you into the trap, and it's just like...
Less Joker, more Bane.
Yeah.
If you want to put this into...
The other issue with the Timeless Child thing is it's open. It used to be a select group of people could play the Doctor. Like a small, little group. But now it's opened up to everyone, and it's taken away the
speciality.
Takes away the speciality of playing the Doctor, the importance of the role to the British Broadcasting Company. He full named him.
It's corporation, isn't it?
Same thing. it's just opened it up now. Everyone can see it. There's going to be some good actors coming in to play the role. We've got Shooty coming in.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to seeing that. But it's going to open the door for some proper dismal.
But at the end of the day, though, you'll get that regardless. As long as you've got someone at the helm who can do it. And, it's only ever going to be a specific club, regardless of how many people may be the Doctor out there. It's always going to be a specific club because people are only going to do it. There's only going to be one person at a time for 3, 4, 5, whatever years. So it still keep that. I just think narratively it just doesn't fit at all.
Yeah.
So
no.
Yeah. Those are our ideas, though.
If you have, I haven't got any more on me. But if you guys have any more, we'd love to see them in the comments.
Yeah.
Hell, we might even make a video of them and take it and try and flesh it out as much as we can.
Yeah. If we get enough, then I don't see why we wouldn't. But importantly, what we're talking about next week is going to be a review of a random Doctor Who story, which we're going to select now. We're going to say random. If it gives us like the Daleks master plan, then obviously
it has to be something we can access because there's a lot of classic Who that is.
It's not even access. I've got access to it. I've got all the CDs
you don't
and the DVDs.
Watch the stills, do you?
But I haven't got the time in the day to watch 12 episodes of Doctor Who between now and a couple of days' time when we record next.
As much as I love watching War Games, I don't have the time to watch that 10-parter.
Yeah, so we're gonna go for the randomizer. So if we find, there we go, it's called the randomizer, and that's what we're going to use. We're going to filter it so it shows classic series only, because I feel like that'd be more exciting to review and we'll talk about then. So, are we ready?
Yes.
And the randomly selected choice is, please don't be the Daleks master plan.
It's Pyramid of Mars.
Pyramids of Mars, that's a great one. That's a great one to start our first review of this channel.
Yes.
So next time you watch us, we'll be sat here talking to you about pyramids of Mars. I always call it pyramids from Mars.
Yeah, I get why.
But we did. So if you've got any thoughts on that as well, let us know. We're gonna hopefully include them as well. We're gonna do a couple more reviews now and some more features and just mixing up the content a little bit, so it's not just us two sat here waffling. It's gonna be a bit more structured. So any thoughts on pyramids of Mars? Let us know on Twitter or Facebook or just on the comments here.
Yeah.
But yeah,
let us know your spin-off ideas if you have any, and we will try and get a video on them if we can. Soon. Yeah, very soon. Well, that's it from us here.
Yeah, I'm starving, so...
Same, I'm going to get food.
Bye.
Bye, guys. Have a good evening.